Think about an office building. Within that office building, we have a suite. The suite is 30,000 square feet in size, and we currently have a tenant in place. That tenant has two renewal options on their lease. One is in the beginning of year 3. It's a 3-year extension, so the other is therefore in the beginning of year 6. So it's either they will continue for 3 years as of year 3 and as of year 6 or not, right? And obviously they can't renew in year 6 if they haven't renewed in year 3, but they could renew in year 3 but not renew in year 6. And so this is a basic example of the complexity of analyzing commercial leases. It's tricky stuff. Nonetheless, it's just math, and anything that's math can be done in Excel. And so let's say that we're trying to analyze this and say, okay, what I want to do is I want to see what's the potential vacancy, okay, the expected outcome for vacancy over the next 6 years for this Suite 300, right? So Suite 300, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. What's the expected vacancy for Suite 300 over the next 6 years? Well, I've got this tenant in place now. I'm sitting here at the very beginning of year 1, and I know that they're paying me $32 a foot because that's what's on the lease. And they're also presumably going to still be paying me rent in year 2. At some point during year 2, they're going to tell me whether they're going to exercise that renewal option, the extension option. If they do, the lease gives me a schedule for rent, so I know what I would be getting. It's this amount. That was agreed to. And that would take them through years 3, 4, and 5. And then at some point during year 5, they're going to notify me if they're going to extend again for another 3 years. And again, that's in the lease, telling me that if they were to do that, I would get $37.10 a foot on that space. Okay, so that's if they exercise both renewal options. If they don't stay in place beyond the end of year 2, I need to have some set of assumptions for, well, what rent do I think I could get for a potential new tenant? I still have to fill that 30,000 square feet, but now the tenant is unknown. I don't know who that's going to be. So I'm sitting here today again, and I'm looking forward into the future, trying to tell some story about the future to the best of my ability, which is tough, right? Because you know you're going to be wrong. So if these guys bail out on me, they're going to tell me at some point during year 2, maybe 180 days into the year. Now I got to deploy my leasing crew, right? Leasing team. And I'm going to get people out there beating the bushes to try to fill 30,000 square feet, which is not an inconsequential amount, no matter how large the building. And I think, all right, well, for a new tenant, I think I could probably get $35 a foot. And that's totally speculation. Again, I'm sitting here times 0. I'm telling you the truth about year 3 for a tenant that I haven't even identified. No, I'm not telling you the truth. I'm telling you the best story that I could possibly support without laughing. I had a mentor who said, every assumption that you have in your model needs to pass the giggle test. What's the giggle test? He said, it's if you can look in the mirror and say the assumption out loud and not giggle. Again, it's wrong. $35 a foot is just straight up wrong, but it's a useful stake in the ground. And so if I were to get $35 a foot, let's say that lease is 3 years minimum, right? That would take me to this amount and to this amount. And then maybe they renew. If it's only a 3-year initial term, maybe they don't. What would a potential new tenant give me beginning of year 6 lease, right? And so again, the further I go out into the future, the more and more uncertain each of these values is. Nonetheless, I was sent an email saying, give me a 6-year projection for Suite 300. And so I have to put something together. So the potential new tenant rent is going to be based off of these amounts for these nameless, faceless prospective tenants. Well, the goal was to figure out what's vacancy going to be in those years, potentially. How long is it going to be vacant? I have no idea. Got to put a number to it, though. So I'm saying, all right, I think it's going to be vacant for 6 months. While I deploy my leasing team at some point during year 2, if tenant vacates at the end of year 2, there's going to be some span of time where there's going to need to be demolition and construction, the TIs. So there's no rent that's going to be flowing, even though my pro forma says I'm getting a full $1 million, full year's worth of $35 a foot rent in that year. It's not true. The space is going to have to be designed and permitted, and then demolished and built and then occupied. So I say, all right, 6 months is what I think. So what's the loss? The goal here is I want to know what my potential loss related to the vacancy is in years 3 and 6. Given what we did up here with the if or, I can write a formula in this row which says if or the year is equal to 3, right, meaning this variable, or the year is equal to 6, take some vacancy charge. Otherwise, 0. See if you can write that formula to charge vacancy to end up with these vacancy weighted average outcomes.